welcome your host, Maria Teresa. I am a celestial shaman, a master of soul light frequencies. I am a mother, a sister, a daughter. I am a woman walking this journey of life in truth, guided by the power of love. And I'm very excited to share my journey. I believe I am here to help heal humanity one heart at a time through shamanic healing, through poetry, and through channeled light language. I would love to introduce my co host. He is a dear friend of mine, an intuitive healer, a coach, a guide. We are both galactic ambassadors, and his name is Mr. Christopher Mark. Hi.
Hey, how are
Well, hello, my dear listeners. We are in episode 5. Welcome. I hope you are enjoying this podcast, these shares. I would like to invite my co-host in, my magical Marcus, aka Mr. Christopher Mark.
Hey, what's going on, guys? How are you feeling? Yeah, we got some exciting things for this episode, so I'm ready. I'm ready for it. But Maria, you you had some
Yeah,
things you wanted to
I'm
say, right?
I'm already laughing out of uncomfortability. Yeah, no, some things I just wanted to tell the people who are listening to this. So I am wrapping up my 4 months here in Utah, which will really be 8 months in a very deeply healing container between Connecticut and Utah. I have one more week here. And Marcus and I were joking around because you've got to use humor to get through things a lot of times. And, you know, to kind of um explain what this has been like. It's a combination of 3 movies. It's been Misery, it's been Groundhog Day, and The Lord of the Rings. Now, when I say misery, nobody's coming in here and hobbling me. But what I have been, you know, kind of experiencing misery through was the demonic battles that we've been in. And all of the pain that I have been transmuting and carrying and working through. I mean, more pain than I have felt in years, probably since the beginning of my healing journey, which was 15 years ago, which is what we're going to talk about in this episode. And then I also just wanted to shout out to my little cuddly friend here, because I have given away all my crystals, my blanket, and I can't light candles and I can't burn incense, all of the things that make me comfortable. I have bought myself a Care Bear and his name is Mr. Happy. And right now he's sitting on my lap. So that just paints a little picture for y'all of where I am. Cuddling a
Yeah,
Care Bear for comfort.
yeah. She pulled him out of nowhere. I remember we were having a conversation. He's like, "I have a surprise for you. I have someone I want to introduce you to." And they just popped out of nowhere and it's like this rainbow bear, she's like, I needed something. I was like, she's like, I was struggling, I needed something. I was like, it's okay. I was like, I get it.
He makes me so happy. He has a heart on his tummy and hearts in his eyes, and his nose is a heart, and he's got a little heart on his bum, and he's very colorful, which is, what I am. People who have been following me for a long time know that I refer to myself as a rainbow unicorn, and that is what I am. And after all of these years, I am finally living as a rainbow unicorn. But we're going to dive in pretty deep. And I'm allowing Marcus to lead this interview style of me sharing my truth about something that was incredibly life changing, incredibly devastating, and one of the hardest things I've ever had to go through. And I'm already getting emotional. We're going to talk about my divorce and uh, the decision to leave my family, my ex husband, and my children in 2011.
Um,
And I'm already crying. Just
okay.
need to say that I'm already getting emotional.
No, it's okay. I mean, I think this is um this is the beauty of for you guys out there. This is the beauty of actually dealing with someone who is a healer as well. Um, because they value the importance of relationships, of meaning, of purpose, not just within the relationship itself, but within each person's life. And I was telling Maria how important this is because, um, so that everyone who's listening and for the people that really haven't got a chance to feel into um, how she's felt, this is an opportunity for them to really hear her side without interruption. Because sometimes when you have conversations, there's always that happens. People just interrupt. They'll be like, "Hey, I'm sorry, my bad for cutting you off," but then they do it anyway. And so this is that chance of doing it. That's the whole purpose of this podcast is really just sharing, um, not only her story, but also sharing with the people that may have not ever been able to actually hear uh, her voice. So, Maria, are you ready?
I'm ready. Let's go.
Oh. So, my first question is, what was so special about before you led to you getting married and everything like that? What was so special? What was so meaningful about that for you?
What was so meaningful when I met my ex-husband?
Mm-hmm.
Mm, gosh, just our love. Like our love was spectacular. It was the kind of love. I mean, when I met him, um, it was a weekend in Rhode Island. I was visiting one of my best friends. It was the end of her college, experience, and I had went up to visit with a couple of my other friends, and I had heard about this guy from because all of our friends, we all, her friends in Rhode Island from college, and me and my girlfriends in New Jersey, they had been telling me about him, and we just never met. And so this weekend we finally did meet, and it was like a love at first sight type of attraction. Um, and we just hit it off. We danced in the club, like we both love to dance, and so we danced all night. And then come to find out that when the club was closing, my girlfriend had my car keys, and she took my car and kind of left us. And everybody knew that I'd be okay because I was with him. And we just walked back to the apartment, and we talked about everything. And I remember we like stayed up pretty much all night, like on the couch together and just talking. And it was just so natural. It was just such a natural connection. Um, and we just had like like such a fierce passion for each other. Um, there was just yeah, that's just what I remember. I mean, we were 22 years old. Um, so there was just like this naivety to it as well, and just like a purity. Like I'm already getting emotional. He he is such a pure heart, a pure heart. Like he's very pure, very simple. He's a beautiful person, and that's what I fell in love with.
You all right?
Yeah, I knew this was going to be emotional, and that's
Yeah.
okay. That's okay because so many things have transpired, and I haven't spoken to him in over 10 years because of everything that happened, and I don't hold like any ill will towards him at all. I'm very, very sorry for what's happened. Um, what it's done to him, what it's done to our children. And it was all just so hard, you know, just so hard. So like talking about it just brings up a lot of emotion. And that's okay because I'm a deep feeler.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, um, my next question to you is, um, what was the similarities of both of you, and what was the differences?
The similarities. Well, the similarities. Well, we both like to dance. We both are, he's a very romantic person. I'm a romantic person. He's written me so many poems and songs. He used to rap to me. He's a huge lover of like Eminem at the time. Probably still is. Um, but there was such like that, dancing and music, and we loved to do that together. Um, we loved to cook together. Um, he was an excellent soccer player, so he's very athletic. We, could go on walks together, ride bikes together. Like there was just a lot of things we loved to do together. The beach. Mm, he is a beach lover. I mean, a lot of Rhode Islanders are. And we would, we got married on the beach in Newport. We used to love to take the kids there, to the beach we got married on. Also, just all the beaches in Rhode Island. I mean, that's one of the best parts of being in Rhode Island is all the beaches. Going to Block Island, car trips. He loves a car trip. He's a great driver. There was so many things that we did like that were the same. Um, he's also a very sensitive and emotional person. And so I felt like that was an easy connection for us. The differences, well, we both were raised very differently. I come from an upper middle class upbringing. We had money growing up. Our family is, my parents were both married previously. And I have step brothers and sisters and half brothers and sisters, but we all, it was pretty much growing up. It was just like my younger sister and I. We were
Right.
afforded so many things. And, my ex-husband's upbringing was very, very different. Um, he was with his mom for a while before she met his stepdad, and he was responsible for raising like their children, and they were both working. And so his upbringing was very different than mine. Um, which led to just, we come from like different sides of the tracks, so to speak. I come from a lot of culture, and a lot of opportunity, and he did not. So there were a lot of things that, I brought into his life. Um, but there, yeah, I'd say that was like the biggest difference between us. Um, him not understanding like emotional, how can I put this? Um, I was always, being the empath that I am, I was always explaining emotions to him and helping him process things and working through things. And, years later, he would always say to me, like, like he would acknowledge it, like, wow, Maria, you really helped me, like emotionally, not only like himself, but the boys. And those were things that he really struggles with, interpersonal relationships, um, challenges. He tends to be a non-forgiving, more of a bitter person, like holding a grudge. He's a Pisces sun. Uh, so there's just, yeah, and I'm not that way. I'm a very forgiving person. I don't hold grudges. I always seek to move on. I'm easy to apologize. I'm easy to take accountability. And those are things that I think he more struggles with. Um, so I mean, there was also like a controlling aspect to it. Um, Looking back, I just, for the sake of relationship, I am much easier being passive at that point in my life. I was pretty passive. I also, he would also do whatever I really wanted at the same time. Um, but there were certain things that we would like butt heads on. I mean, that's like every marriage. So yeah, I guess like that really sums up like our similarities and differences. We were from different sides of the track, but we really liked to do a lot of the same things. He's a very hands-on person. I'm a very hands-on person. Um, well, here's a big difference. I like to read. I've always been like a voracious reader. He not so much, not, you know, not so much like a reader. He likes to write. Um, but yeah, so that's the difference, I'd say. You know, I loved school. He didn't really like school. Yeah.
It's nothing like memory lane, right?
Memory lane. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, these are the things that stick out to me now. You know, I mean, I'm sure that I just want to like, leave room for like other things that I'm not like remembering. But that's what I'm recalling now.
Um, out of all your experiences with him, what was the one memory that meant the most to you?
Oh my goodness. Okay, so it's gonna have to be two. It's gonna have to be the birth of the boys.
Okay.
Because our like here's the thing. Um we had very much of a whirlwind romance. And we had like met the end of May in 2000. I moved to Rhode Island July 4th of 2000. We got married October 20th of 2000, and our first son was born August of 2001. So that was like boom, 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 boom. Our children are such a part of our relationship, and they made us parents. And so when I think about the most memorable things, it is the birth of the boys because that's what we share. We will always share that, having children together.
Um, did having children, like, do you feel like, how did it shift your relationship? Like, was it more like, okay, it brought you closer together? It created a divide. What did it do
Oh
specifically?
no, it definitely like children change you. They change your life. And we were babies. I mean, we were 23 years old when my first son was born. And it was it changes everything. He's such a good dad. He was such a good dad, changing diapers. And I was, breastfeeding in the beginning, but not for very long. And then um, he would get up and give bottles and read stories and play. And yeah, that we were very, very devoted to our children. And that, we loved our family. And that definitely brought us closer together. Our children are almost 4 years apart. And that was very much on purpose. Um, our first son was a bit of a handful. He was a bit of a handful. And maybe because also we were young and I was new to Rhode Island, and it was just a lot. And so our second son was almost, 4 years younger, and such oh my gosh, like just such a difference um with each of them. But our second son really, I think, completed our family. I always felt like that. He was just my sunshine. And it's so hard to talk about him because we're estranged, and we've been estranged for almost 10 years. And it's very much a pain that I carry daily. Um, but yeah, looking back on it all, like we would take family vacations. We used to go camping, take the boys to New Hampshire every summer, and car trips to visit my family in New Jersey. Um, just very, very devoted to our family.
What would you say, um, like, to that version of you, like, now? Like, as far as, like, if you could, like, if you could actually, like, really communicate back with her and just, like, um, let her know. Like, what is something
Wow.
you
Wow, that is a woof. I was a stay-at-home mom for 10 years, 12 years. We were married for 12. And I did really, I mean, I taught dance for a little while at the end, dance and gymnastics, but I don't know that I fully appreciated everything. I don't know that I fully appreciated everything. I think I took a lot of things for granted. Being a stay-at-home mom was really hard. It was very, very beautiful. It's the best job I've ever had in best position I've ever had in my life. The most meaningful for sure. Um, but really hard. Also because I didn't really have any friends. So like my oldest son was like my best friend. Um, I would tell myself to really embrace and be grateful for what I had. Yeah, to take some more time to smell the roses and just to really take it all in because all these years later, all of it all of it is gone. My ex-husband and I went through losing our home. We went through having to give away our pets, and ultimately I was the one who left the marriage and the children. So I just, yeah, it would have been to like slow down, appreciate more, Maria.
Yeah.
The best time of my life, really, the best time of my life, for sure.
Do you, as far as like when you look back on everything, as a family, uh, what moment stands out for you that replays in your mind that this probably was the happiest moment that you guys had together?
Just making dinners, being in our house, jumping on the trampoline together. I mean, we did everything together. Jumping on the trampoline, playing with our dogs. God, this is really hard. Dancing. We would dance. And when the boys got older, they would put on shows for us, and we would video them. Ah, going to the beach. Not really like one moment. There really isn't. I can't think of like one specific moment that outshines the rest of them. It's just like a collage. When I
Yeah.
look, like when I'm thinking about it, I'm getting visions of like us being in our basement that my ex-husband finished. He finished the basement in the house that we owned, and just laughing and dancing and being silly, making dinner, um, playing sports, you know, things like that. Yeah. Um, Jumping on the trampoline probably because we did that with them and they loved it. It was so
Trampoline.
much fun. Yeah, that's the beauty of being young parents. I mean, I'm still very much in shape. I'm sure he is too. But we loved to do that stuff with my kid. I mean, I climbed trees with the boys. So we did a lot of like very active things. Yeah.
If you could say one thing to him or say this, what you feel like you never had the opportunity to say, um, what would it be?
Well, probably just what I was saying to describe him, that he has a beautiful heart, to keep it open more, to keep your heart open more. Because he was pretty closed. He was pretty upset about a lot of things in his own life that had happened to him that I was helping him move through. Um, I think that's what my role was to help him to open his heart, be more forgiving. Yeah.
What was the moment that started to create the separation and create the
Oh my
divide
goodness.
in your relationship?
Okay. I think it was what started to really crack the unraveling was losing our house in 2007. Deciding to move out here to Utah, which unfortunately I know my sister, my older sister who lives here, really wanted to support us, and I was not ready. Um, I was really struggling in my addiction and trying to desperately cover what I now know to be my autism, to be the channeling to be my spiritual gifts. I so we came out here. We only stayed for a few months, and then we went to New Jersey and lived in my parents' home for a couple of years. Um, and then he decided that he wanted to go back to Rhode Island, and so a lot of those decisions were not necessarily made together. Um, I it just is something that happened, and at the time I wanted to stay in New Jersey, but I also knew that I wasn't ready to maybe make that decision for us to split because when you go through major financial crisis with somebody, and I'm talking like we had to short sale our home and sell all of the contents within our home and sold them to mostly to our neighbors. So like watching my neighbors like buy my trampoline and like walk down the street with it, having people come into my home and like just literally like, hey, you want that? Okay, like having yourself stripped of all your belongings, synchronistically look at what just happened to me a few months ago, like getting stripped of all of my possessions. It just creates a new identity. So I think that that fracture was the beginning of it, the financial fracture. And then once we moved back to Rhode Island, and we lived in this amazing little beach cottage, and I absolutely loved it. Um, I decided to get a job, and I was working full time. And it was really fulfilling for me. I was working for a nonprofit supporting people with mental and physical challenges. And I was like their community outreach person. So there was just a lot of things that I was doing that was really fun. And that was creating a purpose for me. Um, and I think that I just became very bogged down and weighed down by trying to manage myself, which was I was not doing a very good job anymore. I was really unraveling and raising my children and helping my ex-husband emotionally. Like I was everybody's rock. I was essentially like raising three people. And it just became entirely too much for me to handle. And I started to crack, under the weight of addiction and eating disorder, um, my own traumas that I hadn't really dealt with from childhood and my teenage years. So it was just like a perfect storm of a lot that really started to pull me away, and it was, let me tell you, it was the most terrifying time to literally feel like I was going crazy because this was a man that I loved, that I knew loved me, like loved me, would do anything for me. And I remember having the conversation with him up in our bedroom, and I looked at him and I said, I don't know what's wrong with me. I feel like I'm going crazy. I don't think I love you anymore. And the look in his eye was the worst. Like I just shattered his heart into a million pieces. And then subsequently telling him to take the children and move in with his parents and just like leave me alone. And what that was me trying to protect everybody from what I was afraid was happening, which was me having a nervous breakdown and losing my mind and going crazy. And I did not want to take it out on him or my children. And I have to say this, like, and I don't blame her. I have a lot of compassion for her, but I was so afraid of becoming my mother. My mother is somebody who struggles with her own trauma, who very much took all of her things out on my father and my siblings and I. And our upbringing was really hard, because my mom was not a together person. And I didn't want to do that to them. I did not want to do that to them. And that's my truth. I was terrified of becoming my mother. Terrified. Yep. So I took matters into my own hands and I told everybody to leave. And after that, I started working not only the full time job that I had, but teaching dance more often and I took on a respite client. Uh, but she had autism, and I would take her out and teach her like life skills, and also just take her shopping and social skills. So, that was my position in her life. So I was working three jobs while being a raging alcoholic, the kind of alcoholic that would literally drink vodka like it was water. And I was hiding it. I was not, you know, I wasn't just like doing it on the weekends or like at night for fun. It was like all the time. Like I was drinking all the time after they left. Yeah. And to be clear, I was also on psychiatric medication that was creating a lot of disturbances and disruptions in my life. So the combination of all of that was very dangerous, very, very dangerous and really, really bad.
Do you feel like um, that he could tell or pick up on things that was changing within you?
Are you going through a spiritual awakening or already a seasoned veteran in your spiritual journey? Do you feel like you have gifts and you're just not sure of how to use them or adjust to having them in this world? I am here to help you on your path to enlightenment. I offer spiritual coaching and shamanic guidance. I am Maria Teresa. I am a celestial shaman and master of soul light frequencies. I would love to guide you to your soul. Enlighten in shadow, always with love. Namaste.
I do, because I remember when I said to him what I said about, I don't know what's happening. I feel like I'm losing my mind. He started to have some reflection on it, and he said, I could tell like around Christmas. So I had said this to him like January of 2011. Christmas, I was very detached. Like December itself, it was my birthday, and then Christmas and New Year's. And I remember we had that Christmas with his family, and I spent Christmas very, very detached. And he picked up on that. He picked up on that. I was very detached and I was drinking a lot. Now, I want to say this because this is also part of my story and it is my truth. The very first weekend that he came, I had met him in Rhode Island, and then I think like the next weekend, maybe like two weekends later, he came up or came down to New Jersey to be with me. And I had gotten up in the morning and made a gin and tonic. And he was like, whoa, wow, you drink in the morning. And I remember being like, is this something that's not okay? Like, I had been using alcohol for so long at that point, because I started drinking at a very young age. Um, and really hiding it. So by the time I met him and I was 22, I was, yeah, using alcohol all the time. And I remember like that was very much a point of contention for him, is how much I drank, um, how much I was trying to manage, myself. And like he was a pot smoker, that was very much a part of his life and then our life as a couple together. But that towards the end, I was really drinking a lot and very, very detached, really trying to hold on, really just I always say to people when I talk about the unraveling of our marriage, it's like I had the slowest nervous breakdown because it started in 2007 when we lost our house, and I didn't finally snap until 2011. So 4 years. So like I was unraveling and trying not to snap for 4 years until I literally completely snapped, tried to take my own life, ended up in the hospital. Like, yeah, because I just wasn't, my goodness. When I think back to that time, it's really hard because it's like I don't have a lot of memory of it. Um, it was just one of the darkest periods of my life. There was so many things that were invading my my awareness that I didn't know how to handle, and I was just covering and covering and covering and exercising and not eating and just every single vice that I had. I remember a friend of mine when I had separated from my ex-husband. It was the summer before I actually met the person that I dated after my ex-husband, who that's going to be a completely other episode because that's a horrendous story. But this is the summer of being first being separated. One of my very, very dear friends that I've known since high school. Um, we were hanging out together in New Jersey, and he looked at me and he said, "Maria, do you think you're like a fucking rock star? Like, what in the hell are you doing?" And I was like, "What are you talking?" I remember just being like, "What are you talking about?" I'm like, "So I'm great. Like, look at me. I'm in such great shape." Like, because I was so concerned with just the outside. That's really like a lot of our upbringing was very concentrated on the outside. What do you look like? What are you wearing? What's your makeup, your hair, like, your body image? Like that has been so much of my concern. And he could see from the way I was behaving and the drinking. And he was just like, and this person, to be clear, he is a rock star. He was in a band at the time, like a big band. Like their band was amazing and very popular. And he was just like, Maria, you can't live like a fucking rock star. And I just was like, I'm fine. I don't know what you're talking. I was in such denial, like the most amazing amount of denial, like so much so that like when I went into the hospital that first time, the nurses, you know, um, told me about. They were like, hey, there's an AA meeting going on based on like when they took my alcohol blood levels, like when I came into the hospital, they do a panel on you. They knew I was an alcoholic and invited me to go into the meeting, and I was just like, oh my, what? Like, no, no, I don't need this. And then sitting in that meeting and being horrified and terrified at the same time, which are two different things. Horrified with making so much connection to what I was hearing, and terrified of how am I going to heal, and can I heal, and am I worthy of healing? Because at that point I mean, when you try to take your own life, you don't feel worthy of life. That's why you want to leave. You don't feel worthy and you're hopeless. So yeah, that's the kind of denial that I was in.
From your perspective, how did your ex-husband cope with seeing all of this? Was this hard for him?
Oh my goodness. It was devastating to him. It was absolutely devastating to him. He went through such a depression, such a hard time, and would cry to me that he didn't know how to raise the boys on his own, especially emotionally. There were things that he just didn't know. He's like, I can't do this like you can, Maria. I don't know how to do this. And that was really hard for him. Uh, just, just the fact that I broke his heart, just having to get over me was devastating for him. And having the boys watch all of that. Yeah, it was, it was terrible. It was terrible. And, the year and a half, because I went to the hospital the end of, it was November of 2011. And then I went in and out of the hospital for a solid year. So my last in hospital stay at Butler Hospital was in December of 2012. He never came to visit me. He wouldn't allow the children to come visit me either. And you know what? Like at the time, it was very hard, but I'm very glad that he never allowed that. Um, our relationship was, my goodness, it was so strained. It was so strange because he would take my calls, but what he was getting was, my goodness gracious, somebody who was shattered, with being an open channel. God knows what I was saying half the time. because I was so corrupted at that point by so many other entities. And I was just a mess. And he would always take my call and always try to talk to me. And then, of course, there was a lot of anger there too, because anger is a secondary emotion. So like all his sadness and despair turned into anger and bitterness. So yeah, that was the progression of it. And then we're gonna kind of fast forward a little bit, and we stopped talking in 2015. So I have not had a relationship with him in over 10 years. He refuses to talk to me. He actually has said to me at one point that it would be easier if I was dead. And you know what? That's a terrible thing to say to somebody, but like I can understand from his perspective where he was feeling like that. And I forgive him ultimately, and I ask now during, just all of these years later in retrospect, for forgiveness, which he has actually given to me. He gave it to me years ago, telling me to let go and to move on and to like, be happy in my life. And he always knew I was destined for big things. And like that was years ago. That was like in 2014, 2015, before we stopped talking completely. But yeah, this has been it's been a hell of a 10 years because for a lot of it I've been estranged from my youngest son, and it's been incredibly difficult on our oldest son. Incredibly hard on him to carry all this. And he has. He's an amazing young man. They both are. They both are. I don't want to single. They both are amazing young people. But my oldest son and I have maintained a relationship um, for probably many reasons. He was older. He could see more what was going on. Uh, it was a different experience for my youngest one. He didn't have enough time with me. He's a lot more. He's a channel, so he just took it in a lot differently, and definitely feels abandoned. Definitely thinks that it's all my fault, and that's okay. That's okay. My oldest son and I are very, very close. We always have been, and yeah, it's just a different experience for the two of them, and I want to honor both of them for that, for having their own experiences during a time where they completely lost their mother. Wow, this is hard.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That,
it's very important to talk about, but it's just very it's very emotional for me because yeah, I just at this stage of it, uh I've processed through through quite a bit,
mm,
and I see things very, very differently, and I just miss my children so much. So much. It is a pain that I carry every day. There's not a day that goes by, moment to moment, that I'm reminded of them, that I miss them, that I send them my love. Um, yeah, they were my world. They were my world for 12 years, my whole world. And that was a very big thing of losing that identity, of not knowing who I was. That was all a part of it. I was like, who am I if I'm not, their name's mother? Who am I if I'm not so and so's mother? Because that's all I was. That's what happened. I felt like a robot. I didn't know who I was anymore. Um, I had no idea what was happening to me. I was losing my mind. I did not know what was going on. Being an open channel is not an easy thing, and it was something I, you know, very much has struggled with for a lot of my life. And I didn't know who I was at all, and that was why I pushed everybody away.
yeah, you're right. Um, it's not easy, because I remember with me and you just working together, like, um, actually stepping into your role for a minute. Like, I'm like, okay, I can see how this is, there's an aspects to this spiritually that just no one could understand. Because it's basically like, hey, you're now tapped into a higher level of frequency that's not operating within time. So everything that you do moving forward is probably going to look erratic. And to everyone else, they don't know. So they're like, what's wrong with you? Are you okay? Okay, well, let's put you here. Let's do this. Let's do that. And I know me and you have talked about this a lot, and it's the reason why I had to like ask specific questions, because I wanted to make sure that not only that, but that people got a full glimpse into how you felt and what it was like for you. Because it's important, you know. Life is not long, even though people, it is short, but it is, we don't we don't get a chance to say how we feel all the time. There's a lot that goes unsaid. So I think that's the reason why I was like, asking these specific questions and really just making sure that what looks intentional was not. And a lot of times, like people might say, okay, well, it's okay, move on with your life. That's hard to do when so much defines you, your children, being married, having a family, those experiences that never leave you. It's very hard to do. Yeah, you
I'm
can
going
move.
to, oh, I'm
Go ahead.
sorry. Because I need to interject here. So this is a very unpopular thing for women.
Mm-hmm.
I was raised to believe that getting married and having kids was going to be the end all be all.
Mm.
And for me, it was until it wasn't. And I know that I was always, like I said, like he even knew it, that I was meant for bigger things. And I never had a career. I never I had like dreams, but they all got pushed to the side when I had my children. And so for me to realize that like this isn't fulfilling for me anymore. I don't know who I am. I don't know what's happening. To push people away that I loved dearly was terrifying and incredibly hard. Not only to say that because, people would look at it like, "Oh, well, you're the one who left." Yeah, because I was trying to preserve what was left of my sanity, which ultimately it all went. But the backlash I got from not only my family who didn't understand what was happening, who was like disappointed in me. I remember having a conversation with both my mom and my father saying like, can you fix this? Like, you need to go back. Like, what are you doing? So they were disappointed in me and my friends. I like lost friends. I lost a lot. There was a lot of losing for me on a lot of ends and a lot of fronts when I made this decision to choose myself. Because, and I've said this to my oldest son, because him and I, about 6 years ago, had a pretty deep conversation about this. And I said, I am so sorry for what you had to experience at the time. It was, I had to choose myself or death. And so for people to understand that, I had to choose me because if I didn't, I wouldn't be here anymore. Those were the choices I had and all the aftermath that came with it. And I'm still paying the price because 15 years later, I still don't have a home. I don't have a relationship with my youngest son, and the any kind of relationship with my ex-husband was destroyed 10 years ago. So these things are incredibly painful for me because these are people that I love. I never stopped loving them. I had to just follow who I am and what my journey is and what my soul is here to do. And so I was incredibly torn. And I can put that, I mean, this was a major one, but I've had to do this a lot of other times. because my soul's journey is what it is, and I'm here to do what I'm here to do. And it's made me have to sacrifice a lot of what Maria Teresa would want to do. And that is the truth.
This was a deep one, right?
This was a deep one. This was a deep
Yeah.
one. I actually would like to wrap this up with two poems that I chose to exemplify this time in my life. And this is, I wrote these in September of 25 after I left my most recent relationship. But it really can exemplify just the leaving of things and the starting of new things, and really the cycle of change, because I believe that I am embodying the phoenix rising. I have had nothing but deaths and rebirths over and over and over and over and over and over and over in a very impactful, very abrupt, very destructive way. Like life burned to the ground. Okay, rebuild. Life burned to the ground. Okay, time to rebuild. Okay, now this is burned to the ground. In order to be who I am now at almost 49 years old. So like just to stop and think about that, because the rest of my life is meant to be very, very different. But these first 49 years have been incredibly traumatic, incredibly difficult, and also the most beautiful experience for me to learn who I am and what I'm here to do. So this is called, and I know, Marcus, you had said, and you could probably talk a little bit more into this after these poems, because you had said that like one of them is like a commentary on like the human aspect of this, and the other one is the spiritual aspect of this, which is what we're doing, right? We're
Mm-hmm.
we're human, we're spiritual beings having a human experience, and it's very multidimensional. So
Mm-hmm.
this is called to begin again. I've shed the tears of 1,000 years, like leaves when they fall from the tree. They were once a part of me, summoning the courage of a mighty beast, a fierce, spirited warrior, roaring with fire, commanding alignment. This is the era of abundance and refinement. What hasn't killed me has definitely made me stronger. I speak with a truthful tongue. I am a born survivor. Pain so deep has not clouded my vision. Seeing through the dark by by the healing guidance of intuition, rising and shining in the brilliance of the new day's sunlight, remembering the power within, surrounded by love's pure light, boldly, fearlessly, leaping into the wild woods of the unknown, rewriting an old story. The lie of separation is broken, for I am never alone, supported by my angel friends. Here I stand, ready to begin again. And this one is called Lighting My Own Fire. Emotion explosion from the experience of being human. Change on the horizon is palatable, an invisible fusion. Sadness mixes with joy, energy infused, anticipatory decoy, flying under the guise of acceptance, while tears stain tomorrow's new beginning. My heart still wants to hold on to what the soul has outgrown, knowing my future awaits in a different home, not the one we once shared. Moving on, choosing myself, graduation of my higher self. Intuitive wisdom guides the way through. Darkness has ended as only light shines anew. Trust and faith have helped me to fly, creating what becomes real through my mind's eye, known as the third eye. For me, it's the one I use to see. Living from the space created within, shining from inside, fiercely devoted to humanity and service. Phoenix's ashes ignite the most powerful rebirth, intent to thrive upon new earth. Creative passions glow as the flames of passion rise, The momentum of fire energy burns the past away. Ascension delivers clear feelings, for I am a divine light being, peaceful and free, speaking the truth of grounded well-being. That is me. And those are my expressions. That is who I am. So the things that I've shared in this episode are my truth. They have been incredibly challenging to move through, but they are a part of me. And I wouldn't be who I am now if I didn't experience any of that. I am incredibly, um, I just, I never intended to hurt the three people that suffered the most throughout this. The three people that I love the most and still do and always will. Obviously, my children, but I will always hold love for my ex-husband because he's a wonderful person.
Do you want to do some light language?
Yes. Let's speak some light language. You begin and I will respond.
Amiyaraka, Barakova Mayata, Yashenanaka, Tova Mamanati, Yatarasha, Mararashi, Nukova Mamayasha, Enanokova Mayati, Sakananova Mayakiata, Yato Kavamata, Shi, Tu Kavamarash, Salado, Merarashu Totanana, me and the those of them, Mararakara, Shuva, Mamarasha, Dadarakova Mayatareshi. Enanula miyana kova mayada shirana kupa mayada rashuruva mayatre shaya mayata kuva mayate shi. Enovo miyaka arara shukuva mayate iamuva mayaka shata.
Neshaniata kote fahekati shetiatu ko oreteka. Yanama tetia kote maniata. Niamatetia atishikapotia. Titriato kotomatia. Anyakotote eke atotichitea patea pata. Nyapata ryoko oroka hasete. Zeteriasa koto hohate shemena. Nyatelea roka. Rakata aleka kasoshuta etenya titi etepato. Propatel ay akata atse etaya takata elia katutu shepaya tato nomania nya nenyo shateria aka asekeria kutu ohaka mesria tata remete purika sheta yisria sokria kataya lia machete ya suku upata yisria suku uchatepa yamania kore ake yasutema tisheyate yasekeyoma iriata yakatute rite ayato riate ake yate ayoa. Oof, I am very stuffy. It's very difficult. There's part of me that wants to sing, but there's another part of me that can't breathe. And we actually are having a fire here in the Salt Lake Valley that's been going on for a couple days. So it's very smoky and my throat has been burning and I spent time outside as I always do before we do these recordings. I go and sit under my favorite tree and I talk to my guides and I sing and I just prepare. I open my vessel for whatever's going to come through. And I usually do that sitting on the ground, whether it's, on the grass or if it's at the beach, but it's always outside. And it was hard today because of the fire. So, yeah, so yeah.
I just want to say this, honey. I know this episode was hard for you, but I'm glad that you allowed me to be able to um, help convey this for you, because it gives so much insight to not only who you are, but what you were dealing with. And I know it wasn't easy, so I just want to say thank you.
And thank you for holding the space and moving with me through all of this for these many months, these over a year. You and I have been talking about every aspect of my life, every single aspect of my life. Marcus and I spend up to 8 hours on the phone sometimes with each other. Usually in the wee hours in the morning, we're like, oh gosh, wait, it's 5 or 6 in the morning, and then there's a time difference. This man has helped me. You really have been the glue in a lot of this. And, I just want to say this too. I have had dreams about my ex-husband for years and years and years. And there have been many times where I really wanted to reconcile things and to reunite with him. And we did try. We actually tried in 2012 and ultimately it didn't work. But I just want to say to him, thank you for being who you are, for loving me as you did, for giving me the most beautiful children in the world. And I'm really happy that he has moved on and he has two new beautiful children. And he's a great person. So I just want people to know that there's no like ill will in my heart for any of this. It happened. It had to happen the way it did. I have a lot of peace around it. And I believe that we will all come together. We will. There will be, and there is a lot of healing. I have paved the way for that. And it's just a matter of divine timing. So I fully believe that. That's what my faith tells me.
Yeah.
Yes.
I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Maria, you want to close us out?
In light and in shadow, always with love. Namaste.
Peace, guys.